Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Ghost back with another video. Today, I'm going to be explaining episode 3. Um, my last episode on how to make a tycoon. I'm just going to explain some of it so you guys should understand. Before we begin, I got a new microphone. I just turned 19. Yesterday was my birthday. So let me know down in the comments how the audio sounds. Uh, Compared to my other videos that I've made. I got the Shure MV7 and I got an XLR output connected to my Go XLR Pro, which is then feeding into my computer. So hopefully the audio sounds pretty nice and crisp. But first up, we're going to get into it. As you can see, I have the screen split and split so we can kind of break down the video. For starters, before we do begin, I scripted the save trigger script. The link or the script for that should be in the GitHub right here, which will be in the link in the description down below. I don't know why it says that, so I will just put a new link down below. But you have the save trigger here, the gate control, which we'll get into, the dropper script. I will also add the conveyor script here as well, which we'll get into more later in the video. Yeah, so save triggers in there. The settings is also in there as well. But we're gonna get right into it. So in the tycoons folder that we made in the first episode or second episode when we were setting up the tycoon, we made a folder. And so what you're gonna want to do is put a model into the folder. So just right click, insert object, search model, click enter. You could name that model to whatever you want. So if you're doing like a Space Center tycoon, maybe you want this model to be named Kennedy Space Center, and then make another copy and name it Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center, or something like that. But since mine is more of like a warfare tycoon, this is going to be more country based, so I'm going to have one for America, one for Russia, one for Ukraine, one for Japan, one for China, etc., etc. So you can rename the model whatever you want. So you should just have an empty model. Next, you want to go into insert object again. You want to insert a folder and name that by object with a capital B and a capital O. Then you want to insert a int value. Name that currency to collect. Value will be 0. Then you want to insert a brick color value. Name it drop color, capital D, capital C. And then that color could be whatever you want. That's just going to be the color of the part that drops from your dropper. Next up, material value. You want to insert a strain value. Name that to material value, capital M, capital V. You can put in, so for the value, if you come into here, if you come into material, there's a bunch of materials here, right? Out of any of these materials, just put in the value. That will be what the material of the part will be that comes from your dropper. So I put neon. I'm going with more of like a blue theme here because red, white, and blue is kind of like, Next up, you want to put an object value. Name this owner, capital O. Leave the value blank. Insert a script. Name that purchase handler, capital P, capital H. Insert another brick color value. Name that team color, capital T, capital C. And then the value should be pretty much anything you want your tycoon team color to be. After you have your values inserted, your folder and the script, you want to insert 5 models, just blank models. And by the way, all this should be inserted into your tycoon group in the tycoons folder. So insert 5 models, empty models, just insert object, search up model, and click enter. You want to rename one of them to buttons, the second one to entrance, the third one to essentials, the fourth one to purchased objects, and the fifth one to purchases. Now, purchases is going to be what you want to buy. So if I went to the store and I said I wanted to buy a pack of gum, I'm purchasing that pack of gum. So any droppers, any tools, weapons, any flooring, any walls, trucks, helicopters, submarines, anything that you are going to have in your tycoon will be in purchases. You can make them in the workspace, union them, group them, do whatever you want with them, as long as in the end they're placed in purchases. Because if they're not placed in purchases, then they're not gonna be incorporated into your tycoon. After that, purchased objects, you leave that blank. Essentials, this is the essentials that is automatically going to be on your tycoon, whether there's someone that owns it or not. So obviously we have over here our spawn. You just insert a spawn pad in I think view or model, sorry, and then click spawn. Put the spawn into essentials. And then what I did was I just added a neon blue part and then resized it around the spawn just to make it more cliche. And then I put that part in the spawn model. Now, if you want, you could delete the decal if you want. It doesn't matter. You could put a decal there if you want your own custom one. It doesn't really matter. We'll get into that after. The floor could be whatever you want, really. I just made it a part. It's about yay big for now because I will be adding a floor extension sometime along in the future of the tycoon as you build more or as you buy more purchases. The giver is just this part right here. This is what will give you your money. And then the part collector is this over here by the conveyor, which we'll get into in a minute. Make sure in the floor you insert a weld. So just again go to insert object, right click insert object, and then insert a weld. And then for part 1, just click it and then click on the floor and it should weld to the floor. Now we're gonna get into the let's do collector parts first. So this you could basically make this however you want. I made this from scratch. I'm going to probably most certainly change it up because it looks kind of like every other tycoon, to be honest, and that's kind of just what I was going for, just so I could get the video wrapped up. To be honest with you, I wasn't planning to do a time lapse in the last video, but it just became such a long video that I just wanted to shorten it down. I didn't have the energy to edit it. So I just made it into a time lapse, and I just figured I'd make this video because it'd be a lot easier explaining it than just explaining it and then doing it and then post edit. It's just, so I'm probably going to change that, but you can make that to whatever you want. So one thing I will say for the display, basically the display is what's featured with the money. So the $sign and the 0, that's like your money. That's your display. It's just a separate part aside from everything else. So extras, it's just I unioned it, but just because it makes it look neater, because this was clipping right here, this was clipping over here, and whatnot. So I unioned it to make it look nicer. But I will be changing that. Just group both of them into one model, Control G, and then name it collector parts. For the display, you'll want to insert a screen GUI or surface GUI, and then put in a text label, and then put in a script. The script for this I will put in the GitHub along with the conveyor script as well. So you guys don't have to worry about that. All that will be in the link down below. For the GUI, just make sure you know what face your surface GUI is on, because when I first did this, I had this on the front, which actually turned out to be on this side. So I was like, man, what the fuck? Where the fuck is this? So I had to play around with this a little bit, and I realized that this was the back of the part, so I just put it on the back. So that's the collector parts, and then the actual conveyor is whatever you want. So because this is a country themed, and this tycoon specifically is America, I added a nice little touch to the walls here, and I added red, white, and blue for the flag, and then I made the conveyor as well blue. Conveyors here. So the conveyor area is the main conveyor part. right? It's just a conveyor. And then inside here, we have the conveyor itself. Again, the script will be in the description. You have the conveyor itself. You got the floor over here, which is just like where the parts will end up, and then the walls for the conveyor as well. And then over here, this is just outside the conveyor area model. This is just the walls around, and then the particle that I added to make it look cliche. I don't know, more cool, I guess. Entrance. This is what says this is basically open country. I don't know. I didn't know what else to put. So just in entrance, insert another model. The model is going to just be a blank model. Name that to whatever you want. Free tycoon. Take me. I'm open. Open countries. That's what I did. Free base. Tycoon for sale. Like anything really. And then you want to insert a head, a humanoid, and a script. Name the script to gate control, and then insert a part and name that to head. You'll want to make the part somewhat transparent, and can collide will be off. In humanoid, you want to scroll down. Make sure health is on 0, hip height is on 0, max health is on 0. Everything else could stay the same. And then in here is the gate control, which is what will provide the text right here. And that will also be in the GitHub down below. So now we're going to actually get into explaining how the purchases and the buttons work. Probably not going to go too in depth with this, because this will be more for like an episode 5 thing, where I start building the droppers and the buttons. This was just like something I concocted so I could show you guys like how it works. So let's I'm gonna bring up the example I mentioned earlier, where I was purchasing a pack of gum. Basically, let's say I want to buy a pack of gum, right? I go to the store clerk. I'm like, hey, I want to buy this piece of gum. I want to buy this pack of gum. They're like, okay, they ring it up, and I use my card or money or cash or whatever. I use that to buy the pack of gum. Now pretend that my cash is a button and the pack of gum is a purchase. So you want the button is just like this mesh here. So let's say for example, I mean, I don't really know how to explain it in the most simplest terms. So we have a purchase here. The mine, obviously, this is what you're gonna get to begin working. This costs you $0. You can buy this straight out the gate as soon as you step on the tycoon. You'll want to, whatever you build that you want to be purchased or have purchased, you're gonna want to put that in purchases. Name it whatever you want, but I prefer if you kept it simple, because you'll need that name in your buttons, and we're gonna get into that right now. So for buttons, you have inside of it, you have a humanoid, an object, a price, and a head. The head is just a mesh. You don't need the billboard UI. You don't need these. I just made it, but I just did that so it would look cleaner. If you wanted to, you could technically just remove the billboard UIs, and you could just put in a head with an object and a price. And it would look something like that. So you could have that, two things. So it doesn't matter like whether you want a billboard UI or not. But inside the actual button itself, we already went over what we want. We want a string value and an int value. For the string value, you want to name that object, and then the value for the object will be what you're purchasing. So let's say I wanted to purchase dropper 1. I would need to make a button for dropper 1. So the script has to know for the button what the button is going to be assigned to, and that's where the object comes in. The object that we want to purchase will be dropper 1. So in the value, we'll put dropper 1 because that's what we want to buy. That's the object we're purchasing. Give me a quick minute here. I'm getting a phone call and I will be right back. Okay, sorry that the phone call was long. You can definitely tell the time between the last cut and now. But let's like get back into it with the buttons. I last left off with the object, I believe. So basically the object is what you want to purchase. So I know I was talking about buying the store clerk and the money and the gum. So just to like sum it up, the object in this instance would be the pack of gum. And the price, which would be the int value, would be how much we're paying for it. So for the int value that you put into the button, you're going to want to put price as the name with a capital P. And then for the value, that's how much you're going to want your button or your object to cost. So if you wanted it to have 1 million, you would just add 3. You just add 6 zeros. Don't put any commas. Don't do anything of that sort. So it's just one whole number. No commas, no periods, no decimals, I know periods and decimals are the same shit, but yeah, just leave it as is. But you usually typically want the miner or the mine or the first dropper. You won't usually want that to be 0 because, you know, unless you buy Game Pass or you have, you know, join the group for 500 cash. Ideally, a new player isn't going to have money when they first start out. So usually your first button to begin working and begin earning money won't have, ideally you want it to be free, okay? I'm not going to drag it out. I think that's pretty much it though. You guys will kind of see how I do things in the next episode. I know I keep saying in the next episode, we'll be making droppers and shit, but the next video is strictly just going to be time-lapsed of me just building droppers and upgrades for this conveyor. And then in the future episodes, this is going to be a pretty long series. It's going to be pretty big, but I'll have another conveyor going this way. And we'll have more droppers and shit on top of that. We'll also add some extensions for the conveyor walls, which would be like a side purchase and whatnot. So it's gonna be a fun tycoon series. I'm pretty sure that's about it. If you guys think I missed anything, let me know down in the comments. I'm pretty sure that phone call kind of just dragged me out a little bit. So if you do notice that I missed something, just let me know down in the comments and I will rehash that. Again, let me know how the audio sounds. This is how it's going to be sounding for the future videos. And yeah, it's good to be 19, boys. All right, love y'all. Subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you guys in the next one.